Hey, my name's Jason Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. We've got some new house price data. This is from Halifax and they're saying house prices have actually dropped, but only momentarily. So I'm going to tell you how much they've dropped. Why is it only momentarily this is happening? And also, before we get the comments saying, hey, this guy says house prices are up one day and down the next, let me address that, because that's very important that you understand where we're coming from. Because there are various data sources that we share on this channel. So this data is from Halifax. A few days ago, we shared the data from Nationwide Building Society. They are two separate data sources, and they're talking about what they're seeing in the market with their own customers that they're lending to. That's very, very important. We also share the data from Rightmove, and that's asking prices. So the Rightmove asking price data was down in November and December. That indicates that potentially going forward, house prices might be on a downward trend. But that data won't reflect in the sold prices for a few months now, until maybe March or April, because it takes a little while in order to buy a property. So that's another consideration. We also talk about the Office of National Statistics data, and that's the real data. That is the government data with all the transactions. But the problem with that is it has around a 6-month lag. So why do we share all these different data sources? Well, it gives us an idea on what's happening in various parts of the market. You see, the Rightmove data I see as important because that tells us the buyer or the seller even sentiment right now. When we get the Rightmove data, if we see that lots of people are cutting the asking prices, it means they're getting more desperate to sell. And it also shows us that in the future, we will see a drop in house prices. What I also like about the lenders, for example, Halifax and the Nationwide data, is they also have a crystal ball into what's going on in the market because they're approving deals now. So they often give us a little statement with that will say, right now, we're approving lots of deals and we know that for the next 3 or 4 months that the market is going to be robust. On the flip side, if they're saying mortgage approvals are down, that gives us an indication, look, maybe house prices are going to drop. So if you want to know for yourself, maybe you're a property investor, or maybe you're just someone that's interested in house prices because you've got your own house that you own, it's important to get all of these different data sources. So while I've got that off my chest, if you've got this far and you're new around here, do make sure you subscribe to the channel over there and hit the bell notification. We've got new property content every single day. In fact, I think we are the most content of any UK YouTube channel. And let's also get some more views on this video so people know about what's going on by smashing like, tickling like, doing something to that like button. That really, really helps with the YouTube algorithm. So I appreciate everybody that does that. So, who are we talking about? Halifax, we already said that. But this data is gold dust to us. I mean, it's important to know what's going on. Now, Halifax, you do get people that say they're incentivized to talk up the market. Well, of course they are. They've got a lending book. They don't want a house price crash. But on the flip side, when they are lending, they're not going to overlend on new deals, because if they do that, then they could get stuck with a load of deals in negative equity. So that's really important to them as well. And so Halifax is saying that in December of 2024, the last month's data, house prices had a little bit of a blip and they were down 0.2%. Nothing to massively worry about there. But it is interesting that we went on a 9-month tear with Halifax of house prices either flat or increasing. So 9 months, and this is the first time that we've had a little drop. Now, this could be seasonal. Some people will say it's seasonal because it's December, but bear in mind that these deals would have started in September or October. They weren't actually deals that started in December and completed in December. They started a few months prior to that. That's an important consideration here as well. So house prices are down a little bit. The average house price on the Halifax data is £297,166. That's the average house price. Now, that will vary with different data sources. It's a little bit different to the nationwide Building Society data, but that's their lending book. Now, how did 2024 do for them? Nationwide Building Society, whose data we had last week, they said that the house price index went up 4.7% on their data. Halifax don't agree with that. Their data is lower, and they're saying in 2024 house prices went up at 3.3%. House prices. So not as big an increase they're seeing, but still it was a significant increase over the previous year where house prices were somewhat muted. Now, they talk about in this data that the market really did pick up in the summer of 2024. It was a slow start at the beginning, but what we're expecting in 2025 is a reverse of that. You see, a lot of transactions are expected to complete between now and March the 31st. There's a lot of pressure on first-time buyers because the threshold for stamp duty drops from £450,000 to just £300,000. That's a big difference, and it could make an increase in purchasing costs for a lot of people on a first-time buyer basis as much as £5,000, which is a big sum of money that you've got to find on top of your deposit. So that will definitely slow down the market. It also shows us that a lot of people are trying to get deals done because they do have that stamp duty problem. Even if you're not a first-time buyer, you might be selling to someone who is, or someone in your chain is also a first-time buyer. And the more people that are aware of this, it does mean that people that maybe were considering saving a little bit more deposit, or maybe waiting for interest rates to drop, or maybe waiting for house prices to drop, they're just taking the plunge and trying to get those transactions done as quickly as we can. Now, one of the things that Halifax is saying is going to impact the market the most in 2025 is mortgage affordability. People are stretched. That has been the case for at least the last couple of years, especially with rising inflation. But they do say the outlook for that is that mortgage affordability will improve in 2025. So we are expecting some rate cuts by the Bank of England. They made it clear just before the Christmas break, they expect 4 cuts in the UK, whereas the US is expecting 2 cuts, but that could change. The economy is on a knife edge at the moment. It could at any point start to move into recession. It could be in a recession right now for all we know, and unemployment could rise sharply. If that happens, because a lot of big businesses have said because of Labour's budget, with the increase in minimum wage, the increase in cost to a business owner of the national insurance contributions, that they could potentially be making redundancies. Now, a lot of them don't make those in the last quarter, and that's because they need the staff for seasonality at Christmas. But we need to see, as January and February and March go on, what happens to employment. And if that starts to drop significantly, I expect that the Bank of England will do more rate cuts, or potentially bigger rate cuts. Maybe they're planning to do 0.25% rate cuts. They could jump to 0.5% if the economy suddenly starts to really look rather bad. So interesting data. As I said, this is not flip-flopping, as some of you say. This is just sharing with you what's happening in the market. Halifax is saying house prices are up 3.3%. They're saying December was the first time in 9 months that house prices started to drop. Let me know your thoughts, questions, or observations on that in the comments below. Do smash like, do subscribe to the channel. Check out all the other content on the channel, including this video right here.